just wanted to share a couple of things from creation that remind me of Sue. One of the first things that stands out when I got to know her better was how strong, like really strong, Sue was. Everything that she's gone through, and everything that she did for her family. And there's this one thing, get out your phones and look up Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
Devil's Tower.
The Devil's Tower in Wyoming. And some of you more seasoned people may remember that from Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. There's this amazing grand structure over in Wyoming that reminds me of Aunt Sue. And she wasn't just a rock, she was like a whole mountain. And in particular this one. Because this one, as you can see on your phones, it lifted up 1,200 feet into the air. But how did it get there? How did it stand out? Because when it first formed, a long time ago, it was made of this very hard rock surrounded by an entire plain of sandstone. And that sandstone weathered down over a long period of time. What was left standing was the incredibly beautiful edifice, this mountain that stood up out of the middle of nowhere. Just a monument to strength, and that's who she was. I thought of that when I talked to her during COVID, and COVID was very hard. She worked in a nursing home, and there were a couple of times where she just lost a third of her friends at her work that she was caring for. And I talked with her about that quite a bit one time, and the strength that she showed, and just keeping going. It was so remarkable, and it reminded me of the fact that even though everything was trying to wear her down, she was that thing that was left, like the Devil's Tower in Wyoming. She was the part that was left, and it was a beautiful picture of who she is and how strong she is, like a mountain. The second thing that I wanted to mention just really briefly, if you look at this up on your phone too, it's called a nurse log. It's called a nurse log. When in a forest that's crowded with all these different trees, all the small ones trying to grow, and they can't because the canopy is blocking all the sunshine, but a big log will sacrificially fall over, and then the sunshine can reach the saplings, and then they grow up, around the nurse log. And what you see is that the roots of these new trees leave an impression of that log as it decays away. And I'm not saying that, she's passed away. I mean, like, during her life, during Sue's life, she sacrificially laid herself down for her kids and her family. A lot. One of the hardest things that we've been dealing with is the thoughts of her not being there with the grandkids. Yeah. We're not being there with the grandkids, and one of
That was in Dublin on a bar crawl.
They're all holding each other up.
she sacrificially gave to her family. She was always there for them, attending everything, doing everything for them. And what was left when Katie and Chrissy and Brian grew up was the impression that she left in the roots of them, in the core of who they are. She left behind a Sue-shaped pattern. And as we sit here and think like it's so sad that the grandkids are not going to enjoy her, but they are. Because she's not really gone. She's left this pattern in your families. And that is what is going to be going forward. That's what the grandkids are going to enjoy. It's the kind of people that Katie and Christy and Ryan and their partners are for those kids. The pattern of Sue. And each of these different things, these are just two small, tiny little facets of who she was and how beautiful she was. She kneeled in her heart most of the time in front of Jesus. She kneeled before God. She just chose to live her life in a way that honored God. And in doing so, thank goodness she's in heaven right now. But even more so now, immediately now, and for the last 60-something years, right? God used that kneeling as a way for him to come down and paint in her, to create something beautiful in her. We talk about artists that are amazing, and they have this two-dimensional, maybe a sculpture, three-dimensional, but God is an artist in so many dimensions, and so many different facets, and there's a million facets of Sue that God did. He made art in Sue, and the art that he made, he gets to enjoy more now. But the art that he is a pattern that's left behind in her family, in us, in her friends.